Hi, everybody, and welcome to the show, Grow to Scale Your Business. Today, we have a flavor of Consulting Chronicles, Laughs and Lessons. And I have the pleasure of hosting Mona. Mona is a project manager and a business consultant from Germany. And she's one of the best in her field. She's been doing it for many years. So here we go and enjoy this episode. What would you say the difference is between the German culture when it comes to doing business and the Western culture?
Germans are very strict on following procedures. So you don't skip steps because you don't like them. You do them anyway, which is in many other countries I worked with a little bit different. They are like, I don't like to, I just skip two. In Germany, you're like, no, it's 1, 2, 3 in this order and no other.
Do you like working that way, or do you prefer the more lenient and more, less stress environment when you're working on your projects?
Well, I think how you grow up very much shapes who you are, right? So obviously I did grow up in this environment. I also worked a lot in corporate structures, which even amplify this further because they're even a whole different level of structures. And I enjoy these structures. I made my way through the career in those organizations, so it definitely benefited me. So why should you stop doing something that benefits your life and your career?
So yes, I can totally relate. I love order. I love creating a plan and working according to the plan. Life is a very interesting thing where you have a plan, but you have to be able to adjust and pivot and find another way to do things when your plan didn't work out or your plan didn't work the way you thought it would. How do you know when to pivot your business? Because you said 1, 2, 3, 4. What happens if 3 doesn't work out?
That's a very good question, because I mean, I think many of us have grown up in a school system which tells us, like, if you fail, you are a failure. There's no second chance, so that's how we are brought up. And I think this is a very bad thing, because in entrepreneurship, failure is a learning experience and you need to fail. Actually, you should embrace failing, because that's how you grow quickest and that's how you adjust the quickest. So I think, how do you know when to pivot? Well, when you don't make sales anymore. I mean, the market is like the most clear indicator on something is right or wrong in your business. If you're not able to make sale, something is wrong with your offering, with the way you communicate, maybe with the clients you're targeting. If you are not sure whether you have the right offer, I mean, just ask the market. They will tell you if they're willing to pay for that and how much they will pay. And so I think you know when to pivot when the things you do don't work anymore. And now not working doesn't mean like throw it away and start something totally different, but it tells you have to do something different from what you're doing right now. So try different ways, fine tune, look into the numbers to see, okay, what exactly is the issue? Because very often we have an issue of root and consequence, cause and effect, right? So we are sometimes mistaking one for the other, and we think what we see is the cause of something, but in fact it's the effect. And then you have to go back to the root cause to actually find the issue and fix it. And often it's much easier than you think, but often it's just a tweak, but you have to really figure out what it is. And again, the market will tell you very quick. You just have to ask the right questions.
As business consultant, as project manager, as strategist, both of us are working a lot with technology. And every person who works with technology has certain apps, certain software, something that changes how we do business, how we leverage technology in order to improve the way we do business, streamline. What was your software? What was your app that changed the way you do business?
I mean, it really goes back a few years. So obviously there are a lot of great technologies right now, which are super exciting. But how it changed for me from actually working as an employee to working as a business owner and also having multiple contracts with different companies who don't get to synchronize each other, I needed a tool to actually have my to-do list under control, because I'm a project manager, so I have a lot of to-dos every day, and I cannot skip one just because I wasn't logged in into that tool. So for me, it was Microsoft To Do, because I have it on my mobile phone. I always have my phone with me. It's really like, damn, I'm addicted to that.
Extension of our arm.
Totally. It's also an extension to my brain, because I can just dump the task and not think about it until it's on my list and I have to process it, you know. So it's not just, I mean, I used to have a lot of Post-its, and it was a nightmare. Like, you don't want to see how my desk looked by that time. So it was a nightmare, and like everybody complained about all my papers, because I'm anyway taking notes all the time. But then if you mix your to-dos with your other notes, it gets difficult to keep track of it. And I tried books, you know, like having a diary and then putting the tasks in, but then it mixed up with the tasks with the other notes. And I was like, this is not feasible. And when I got to do, actually, it made it really easy, because I just type it in. And if I didn't do it the same day, I can immediately put it to the next day so that it doesn't slip down, right? It doesn't get forgotten. It even tells you like, hey, this is what you still have open. And then you can even put reminders on it if you want to. I switched it actually off because it annoyed me. But I know that I can sort very easy, like what is the first thing I want to do. And I don't have to, like I used to have my papers and have to renumber every 5 hours. I had to renumber everything, and it was just annoying. And then I didn't know, like, what do I have to do now? So in terms of efficiency, it was actually back in the days To Do that really started changing my business a lot.
I gotta admit that I do use softwares and apps on my phone, and I have CRM that has the to-do list. But when I have something that I find myself pushing down and down and down, but I know it's important to do, I do take a piece of paper, a sticky note, and I do write on it, and I stick it to my screen, which I have right now. I'm looking at it. So I have a limit of 5 sticky notes. I can't put any more on the screen. And those are the most important ones, the most urgent ones. Yes, they will pop up on my phone, but because I'm sitting in front of my computer, they will actually bug my eye all day long until I'm done and throw them away. So that's my secret way to work with it. Every business owner has to develop their own secret methods, how to deal with tasks. And the more we grow, the more we scale, the more tasks we have.
Absolutely.
So we gotta learn how to deal with those. We know each other for a very long time. It's not the first time we're chatting. And one of our previous chats in the past few weeks, we were talking about the development or the involvement of the AI, the artificial intelligence. And we were so excited about the ChatGPT and all the aspects on it and all the possibilities and opportunities that we can do with it today. How can we automate all the things that we were doing, and we had to actually spend hours and hours on creating those outputs, and suddenly we have ChatGPT and its apps that can do it within 2 minutes. So how did you leverage this technology in your current projects or the past projects that we're working on?
A lot. On the one hand, first of all, for speeding up my own tasks. So everything that comes down to writing blog articles, writing social media posts, everything that is writing is pretty much completely automated. And first, of course, you always have to master it yourself before you can delegate it to somebody else. So I had to play around with it and find the optimum way. And then I gave it to my team, and they are like, oh my God, this is quick. I told you. And so, but of course, they had to get the parameters of what I'm looking for and what they have to check and how I want this. And then the second piece, of course, also for my clients a lot. So whether it is writing services, but also video repurposing. So, I mean, there's video. I mean, it used to be very dumb, you know, like, okay, like you have a 10-minute video and it gives you like every 30 seconds, like the snippets. But then who knows whether on 30 seconds at the point your sentence was finished or not. So it was very dumb. It was just like cutting it without any logic. But now the software is so advanced that it actually recognizes where the sentence ends and makes a point on where you have a speaking break. So it's much, much more flexible. And like what used to take you, I mean, you had to listen a minimum of 10 minutes plus the editing time to actually get these snippets out. Now you just upload it, get a coffee. And when you're back, you know, you just look at like, oh, this looks good. And then you just work with that. I mean, this is like, I mean, a year ago, this wasn't even to be thought about. It was really so, I mean, the technology is advancing so quick. Like, I mean, I just wrote it today, a newsletter to my members. And then we're like, I mean, Google was saying to everybody, like, they're going to punish AI content, right? It was not so long ago that they said that. And now just last week, they announced that they are actually creating a product that is writing with AI stories, and they are pitching it as a product to the big publishing houses. And I was like, excuse me, what a double moral is that, please?
No, it just means that they can do it, but you're going to be punished. You're not allowed.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I don't think this is very soon you won't be able to differentiate it anymore, because AI learns from what you put in. So, I mean, when I put my old texts in, it recognizes this as AI. And I was like, excuse me, I wrote that myself, but it recognized like 100% AI. And I was like, what? So
I always was saying you're a machine. So
yeah,
it just proves the point.
I'm very fact driven, you know, so obviously my writing style is recognized as AI. And I was like, this is not cool.
Oh, in German. 1, 2, 3.
Exactly, machine.
1, 2, 3. It's a machine. A 0 and a 1.
Yes, actually, AI can write better than me. No, it's actually true. I don't even mind that, you know. I enjoy writing. I mean, I wrote books and everything, you know, but like if you have to do it every day and it gets like a routine, I don't really, I mean, I'm a project manager for a reason. I like the variation of things. I like the challenge of trying new things. If I have to do every day the same thing, I'd rather give it to a machine.
That's what I love about being business strategist and business consultant, because every day I'm dealing with different types of businesses, different people, different industries. So I'm never bored. I always learn something new. I learn about healthcare, something that I didn't know. I learn about insurance industry, something I didn't know. About agriculture, school, whatever, real estate. So every time I'm dealing with a business, I'm learning new approaches, new mindset, because even the same industry, the people are different. The way they're doing their business is different. So it's fascinating, even geographically, when I'm dealing with the same thing, same business, same industry, but different geographic location. It's mind-blowing, because the regulations are different, the approaches are different, and the people that they are working with, the audience is different. So like you said, we're not meant to sit behind a desk and do the repetitive task. That's a task for a $15 person, a $20 person. It is not a task for somebody like ourselves that, yes, we charge a lot of money for our skills, but those skills are worth it because we deliver results.
I mean, after our last conversation, I was looking into plugins, you know, and I mean, I was drilling myself through the entire list of plugins that ChatGPT has. And I was like, damn, it's a lot. Like, none of my clients would sit down and go through that list, right? But because I go through that list, my clients can say like, hey, Mona, I need something like this. And I'm like, there you go. Because I went through the list already, you know? So, and I think this is what people sometimes forget, you know, when it is about such type of things. Like, this is the expertise that we bring along, that you don't have to do that nonsense. I mean, many of my clients, they don't even if they kind of find it interesting, they wouldn't take the time to go in there, and they don't have to, because people like us exist, you know. And so it's a nice synergy. They can focus on what they love, and then we can do what we love, because I love clicking to technology, and I was like, oh, look at this, how does this work? Let me figure it out. Like, this is my genius zone, you know.
We're hinting out of because of technology. It's hilarious because people get overwhelmed. So there are a lot of influencers or people on TikTok. Oh, you got to see this app, and you got to see this plugin, or I found a way to do whatever. So every day you get bombarded by dozens and dozens of those videos, and everybody's saying they found the cure, they found the best thing. Now, I find it fascinating to go into each and every one of them and figure out whether or not it's a good solution. And in many cases, they're not. I tried myself, but I say that's not good. That's not the result I was asking for or looking for, or I would find acceptable for a business that I'm consulting for. But a person that's not their business is healthcare, they were not going to go into plugins and figure it out. That if their business is manufacturing, that's not their forte. And the beauty of working with strategists and consultants is you don't have to.
Correct.
Stay in your zone of brilliance and let us stay in ours.
Yeah.
And let's work together.
And I think a piece that people have to consider is you have to differentiate between a content creator and somebody who's applying that stuff.
Exactly.
So you have tons of people who are just creating content that people want to click at, which is totally cool. Don't get me wrong. I also like to click that type of stuff. But those are not the people who are looking at business cases and saying, okay, this is the right use case. It may be a great tool, but maybe not for your case. So this is where we come in and say, okay, we are looking at your business and say, what do you need? And like, okay, tell me what you want to achieve. Like, don't come with the tool because we will get you the tool, you know. Tell us what you want to achieve, and then we look what is the best tool for you. And that's the expertise of working with so many different systems. And of course, we try that stuff because on the one hand, we enjoy it. On the other hand, again, it's also our job to do that, you know, and to really look into these things. But when we look at these things, we don't look at it like, oh, this is cool for fun. We look at it like, what's the business case behind it? And is that applicable? Is it integrating with other solutions on the market? It's not supposed to just be like a standalone, hey, nice to have, because let's be honest, who wants to log into 20 different systems to have their business running? Most people hate that. They forget their logins and they're like, then I'm not using it anyway.
That's very true. And the thing about those influencers or the people who are posting a lot of videos about the different tools, about the different technologies, they might confuse the business owners as if they are the experts. Those influencers are quote unquote experts. They are not. They found a cool feature, cool plugin, whatever it is, and they post a video about it. But when it comes to implementation, yes, the technical portion, they might be able to click through it and install it in your system, but they will never be able to, like you said, go back and ask, forget about how I implement it. Talk to me about the what. What are your needs? What are you trying to achieve? And why are you trying to do it the way you think you want to do it? Once we establish that, then we can talk about the how.
Yeah.
And one of the problems with those influencers is they talk so much and about so many things that they seem to be the experts. And that might be very, very attractive to business owners. Oh, you're going to come in, you're going to fix it, whatever. But did they do the right thing for your business? Right? So being a business owner is extremely stressful. Yeah. It doesn't matter which business you're running and how many people you have. You can run your own, like be solopreneur and run yourself, or you can run 100 people. How do you deal with business stress? Because we have a lot of that, especially when we deal with people.
I think in general, if you are a business owner, you have to have a pretty high stress tolerance. Things go wrong every day. The bigger you get, the more problems you have. I just had today, like I talked to one of my business friends and we talked about, you know, this phenomenon when you close one task and you have two new ones. As I call it, like the hydra of you know, task management, like you chop off one head and you get two more. I mean, this happens all the time and it can be frustrating. You think that you're working off your task list and actually it keeps adding up while you work it off. So it is definitely frustrating sometimes. And sometimes you have those phases where things just don't work, and we all have these phases. For me, what I find very helpful and what I would recommend to everybody is get yourself around people who are on the same journey as you, and don't just pick one or two, pick like maybe 3, 4, 5, because you will find out that sometimes one or two are in the same cycle as you are, but then the others are not. So that you can motivate each other and say, hey, look, because when you are in this down zone, we tend to make everything worse and everything is amplified. And oh my God, the whole world is crazy, you know, and then you could fall into this trap of like, you know, like watering yourself and you know, self-complain and like, oh, pity, you know, but this doesn't help you to get out there. You need other people who are shifting your focus and helping you to shift your focus and say, look, don't just look at the negative, because even in the worst negative things that happen, there are still positives that you can pull out there, but sometimes you are blind to them. So you need other people to say, hey, look at how far you've already come. You know, we forget this because we're always like, next thing, next thing, next thing. But then we never look back, like, how much way did we already walk in this whole entire journey? And how much have you grown in that entire process? You know, we don't look at these things regularly. And so having people to check you in and like sometimes also shake you up, like, come on, don't do that. It helps a lot. And I mean, it is a lonely journey and you will lose many people on the way because they don't understand what you're doing, or they just can't relate, or they're not interested in listening to the problem because they cannot relate to the problem. I think it is really important to have a healthy surrounding of other like-minded entrepreneurs who can help you out in these phases. That's really, next to like eating healthy and sports and all of that other stuff, you know, I think that is really the thing that keeps me sane. Because like, I mean, great exercise is nice, but like, it doesn't help you when you're in your own mind. It may help you like in this moment of doing it, but then afterwards you fall into the trap again. So I think people are really, and great people with a good mindset. And of course, it's complementary, obviously, right? The others may also have down times where you have to help them out. So it's a give and take. And I mean, also, like, guys, if you have issues with like mindset stuff, I mean, what I can recommend, I'm not a mindset coach at all, you know, I had a long time not believing that stuff, but it is important. I learned that on the way. But what helped me a lot is like, there's something like called a 6 minutes diary, which is like 3 minutes in the morning, 3 in the evening. And there's activities in there. And one of the activities, which I find very helpful, is a question that you have to ask yourself every evening, which says, whom have you helped today? Whom did you do something good today? And this doesn't even have to be business related. Did you help somebody over the street? Did you give somebody a smile? You know, like small things like this. If you go in the evening to bed and you cannot even name one single thing that you did, and not even to yourself, like if you at least did something for yourself, something good. But I had sometimes days in my past where I was like, I cannot even write that I did something for myself today because I was so busy doing my work that I just didn't focus on giving value to others or to myself. And if you do that repetitively, so this is why I like this exercise, because you don't have to necessarily do it daily. But if you realize like after 1 or 2 weeks, you can't write anything in there, there's a serious problem in your life. Like you have to get more among people or, you know, do something about that, because doing something nice for others elevates your own self-esteem. And this spills into your business as well. It's a really quick way to actually fix some things in your business, to just do something good for others.
That's just such a great point. I'm happy you said that, because it's something that on a daily basis, just creating some value for potential customers or partners. And it's funny because when I go on LinkedIn and I'm just trying to connect with people, network, I don't want anything from them. The culture of pushing your products on people became such a big problem that when you're just saying hi to somebody, the first response is, I'm not buying anything. Like, I don't need your services. I wasn't offering anything. I just want to chat with you. It doesn't happen a lot. It happens sporadically, but it kind of reminds me that I don't want to be that person that the only thing that I'm reaching out to people for is to ask for something or to sell them something. I want to reach out to people because I want to give them value. And I was talking to somebody last week, I think it was, or before, and we were chatting about business, and we finished the chat, and then somehow we started talking about Airbnbs, because I have Airbnbs, I manage Airbnbs, and it said, oh yeah, I was thinking about it, but like I don't know how to do it and stuff. And I said, yeah, I just closed the one that I was running in my city because they came out with regulations that will prevent me from doing Airbnb. So I closed all mine here, but I'm exploring other locations. And just to prove the point, I said, you know what? You probably think that I'm trying to sell you something. I'm not. Let me share my screen. I shared my screen and I showed her that I had all those research tabs opened because I was researching a certain area. And I just started showing her how to do the research. Now, within 10 minutes, I couldn't show her the entire doctorate of how to do it, right? Something that I've learned for years. But I showed her, here, I'm not selling you anything. This is how you do it. If you want help, whatever, I can help you. But I'm doing it myself. And I wouldn't sell you anything that I didn't go through myself. And then we started talking about other stuff because her partner is an artist and he does murals. So, you know what? Does he have a portfolio? Create a portfolio for him of murals and then go to Facebook groups where Airbnb owners hang out and offer them a mural as a service, because that will be their competitive edge versus all the other Airbnb operators, because they will be able to put that picture in their not profile, in their listing picture, and that will be the hero. And when you have a unique mural versus others that have, like, you know, the same table, the same chair, the same TV, suddenly you see something different, that will be their competitive edge. So just like, you already love doing what you're doing, just monetize it.
Yeah.
And she was like mind blown. Oh my God, this is such a good idea. Like, where did you come from? Where did you come with it from? I was like, oh, that's what I do.
Totally.
Ideas, that's what I do. And because I'm in the industry where I work with different industries, it's easy for me to, you know how JT Fox said that something as common as dirt in one industry can have the effect of an atom bomb in another. That's exactly what us as strategists do, because we work with different industries. So we take small stuff from different ones, and then we just implement it or apply it where it's needed and where it will have an atom bomb effect.
Absolutely. And I mean, this is why we connect with other people. I mean, also, honestly, if I also had those types of messages like, oh, you just want to pitch something, blah, blah. Honestly, those people have also a mindset issue, to be honest, because if you're not even open to have a conversation without knowing even what's going on, then you have a scarcity mindset. Because what exactly are you afraid of? To say no in front of me in the face? Like, I mean, you still have the chance after 5 minutes to say, you know what, like, I don't think this is leading anywhere. Let's just end the call. Like, you're free to do so, you know, but not even going in is missing out. This is like assuming something is too expensive, but you haven't even asked. Like, how do you want to know? You haven't even asked. Like, you're cutting yourself off of opportunities before you even went in. And then, I mean, you cannot win. Like, at least if you get a no, at least you're in the game. But if you're not even getting in the game because you're afraid to insult somebody, sorry. I think, and in my opinion, I'm really like resilient on that end. When people come back like this, I'm like, hey, didn't want to offend you. Just wanted to have a chat. If you don't want to, no problem. Then I'm thinking in my mind, you miss out. But that's another point.
Well, I can attest, they miss out. Talking to you, they definitely miss out. Because A, you learn so much. B, you get so much, I get so much energy when I talk to you, because you're such a hyper positive person. It's not for everybody. If you're an introvert, you and I will not work out.
I exhaust some people, yeah.
We're not a good fit for introverts, but for people who are ADHD, we are the perfect fit. Because we talk fast, we think fast, and that's the way their mind is working. So we're good fit for those. So here's a question for you. Business can be extremely funny. It can be frustrating, but it can be very, very funny. Do you have a couple of stories where you had a customer or a situation where you might have been frustrated at that specific moment, but later you were laughing your butt off because it was just too hilarious?
Probably a lot. Question is if I can come up. I'm a left-brainer, so I have to always think about things. No, but I had a lot of funny situations, obviously, like misunderstandings, you know, like when you're in the emotion of, like, you know, like projects can be tight and you can be like really tough on things, right? And then sometimes I'm very capable of international communication, with different nationalities, but still sometimes stuff happens, you're not aware of what is going on and it just slips through. And sometimes it's like just using different words. I'm not a native speaker. I'm luckily able to communicate fluently in English, but I'm not a native speaker. So sometimes you have words. So for example, I think it was like we were talking about a business name, for example, and I came up with like tips. And then my brother was like, that in the US, this is like money. I was like, what? I meant the ideas, like tips, like thought. And I was like, yeah, I get you, because I'm also German, but in the US that means something very different, and like there are tons of these types of examples where when you speak with people from the UK or from Australia, you sometimes are like, what? And then you have in your head and you're like, is it really what they mean? And because you translate it to your language of what you know, but then they mean something totally different. Like you have this classical false friends, we call them, right? Where you say like the boot and the trunk and the boot. I was like, a boot? It's like something like, what do you mean? Like, and like, we had tons of these types of funny little things that happen all the time where you're like, okay, this was a misunderstanding. And usually after it, you can laugh about it. In a situation, it can actually get quite heated. So it's always a little bit of balance act, but it's like sometimes so funny what happens. It's like, for example, I can give you one example. Like we had a situation where I was still employed by that time. I was working as a project manager and rolling out an international system. And we were in Southeast Asia. And in Southeast Asia, people are very careful to ask questions, especially when their managers are in the room, because they don't want to lose their face. And so we knew that. That's why we traveled there, because we wanted to make sure we look at their eyes, because if I look in their eyes, I can see if they got it or not, But if I have them on the phone, I don't know. If they have the camera off, I don't know. So we went there. And by that, because it was a very important training and we had a lot of people there, like the manager of the country was there, and even the area purchasing director of the entire Southeast Asia area was there with his assistant, and he's an Austrian. And he understood that culture very well. And so he was sitting in there and he was asking the stupidest questions he could have asked. And I had to laugh. I was like, you're kidding me, right? And I was like, why are you asking this question? I was like, if I can ask such stupid questions, they can ask their real ones. It was so funny. Well, I met one time, I met in Hong Kong one time a lady, and in Hong Kong it was really weird for me because I was a white woman, and it looks like they're not really used to having a white woman giving a bunch of guys training. So it was a very weird situation. I'm self-confident, obviously, so I just go in, hi, how are you doing? And everybody's like looking down. I was like, what's going on here? And then there was one lady coming in, and she reminded me so much of my sister-in-law. My sister-in-law is Chinese, but she's living in LA, and she grew up since she was 14. She's in LA. So she's an American now, And so this lady comes in and she's like, hi, my name is, and I was like, you're not from here, right? And because she was working for an oil company, I was like, you're not from here, right? You studied abroad. And she was like, yep. And I was like, thank you so much for being here, because now at least one person is going to ask questions. Which turned out to be true. She was the one asking all the questions. So, those types of things happen all the time, right? Where you just stumble across funny situations or people. And I think this is where you have to pull your energy from, because the negative thing will come anyway. But you have to enjoy these fun moments, even though they're sometimes really weird. But these are things to remember. This happened like 7-8 years ago, So
I had a funny situation where, so I was working with a company that was from the Middle East, so their language is not English, and they were expanding into US, and their website was a complete disaster. So forget about the fact that it was the ugliest website I've ever seen. And if I was a customer, I would never buy from them. Basically, their customers were based on relationship, because if there was no relationship with those customers, they would not buy based on the website. But okay, so you're expanding into US, we need to optimize your website. We need to make it look nice. We need to adjust it to the culture, the country where you're going. We need to make it fit into the pot. And I'm starting reading the content. And not only that the English was so broken, so horribly written, it's like somebody took Google Translate and just copy pasted. It was extremely long. It made no sense. It's not like the sentence is broken, the entire concept, you don't understand what it means. But the funny thing was, and that's the funny thing, right? So I said, okay, I understand. It's not their native language. And somebody Google Translate. Let me go to the original content, which is in the other language, because I know the other language. Let me read that and I'll translate it because my English is very good. So I'll translate it. Oh my God. I went to the native language and that was worse than the English. It made no sense. It was so long. Even the technicality, because I knew the market, I knew the industry, so I knew the technical portion as well. And reading, and as somebody who knows the industry, I have no idea what they're saying. So I said, okay, maybe I'm missing something. Maybe I'm missing something. Let me paste a piece of it, send it to the CEO, and ask him, what did the author mean? Like, I don't know who wrote it, but what did they mean by writing it? The reply I got from him was, who is the idiot who wrote it and how drunk were they? Okay. And I said, I know. And then imagine that being copy pasted into Google Translate, and then without proofreading it, copy pasted into your website. And that's what represents you in front of your customers. And then you're surprised why you're not getting more customers. I wouldn't trust your website.
Yeah.
And like branding, marketing, awareness of your brand in a new industry, in a new market, it's so important. It's so basic that if you don't build that foundation and you go out and you show people, hey, this is who I am, these are my values, this is these are the products I'm offering, and so on, you cannot be surprised that you can't grow and scale and nobody's buying your product.
Yeah.
But it was so funny. Back then, I was frustrated because I had to be the one that would go and that's not what I usually do. But because they didn't have anybody native English speaker, I had to go and redo their entire website. I not only rewrote the content, but I redesigned. I just threw away their website and built a new one.
Yeah, totally.
So,
can I add another example of that? Because it's not only in the marketing side, it's also when you want to scale internally, it's super important that you understand the processes. So another funny example that I actually also experienced myself. So I worked in a company that was very much working in silos. So they had different countries and they should not be talking to each other. So by the time I joined, it was a huge issue because the German organization was just starting out very new. And we had an agreement that the other countries would help us in building the knowledge that we were missing in our market. And but nobody officially wanted to help us because officially we were silos. So I was pretty good in relationship building. So I basically undermined the entire process and built my own network. And I mean, again, I'm a German. So what you have to know about a German is we believe an expert. If an expert tells you this is not possible, you don't discuss that. That's the point, period, you know. So we had software, standard software, and the German market is very needy and very demanding. Like, I mean, in some areas of especially on purchasing, supplier management, they're very advanced because they are like automotive industry, they're building that whole thing. So we had requirements that were not fitting into the standard software. So we had to ask our development, can we do that? Right? So there was a process in place. I wrote the guy who's in charge, you know, and then every time I wrote an email, he said, no. I was like, okay, you know, that's the answer of the expert. So that's it. And I was like going back and I was like, it's no. And then it kept adding, like, I kept reducing the request to really small pieces, you know, and I was like, this cannot be so difficult to rename a button. Come on, you know, so I really scaled it down. And there was always a no. And I got so frustrated. And then one time I had a business trip to Italy because the headquarters was in Italy. And I met the guy and I really liked the guy. He was a nice guy. And I was like, Roberto, we have to have a conversation. And he was like, what do you have, Mona? How can I help you? I was like, why is every time I write you an email, your answer no? Like, is our software really that bad? And he was like, no, why are you saying? I was like, even I cannot rename a button. Like, are you serious? Like, this is a really crappy software, if you ask me. And he was like, no. I was like, but why do you always tell me no? And he was like, Mona, listen, you have to understand something. I get 100 emails like this in a day. And you know what? I say no to everyone. And you know what? Only 30 come back. And I was like, that's the way to go, you know? So now I understood the system. And from that moment on, I got everything. And everybody was asking me, how do you do that? I was like, I just know how it works. So I mean, it's not ideal. It shouldn't be that way, right? And I mean, many of the consultants were complaining like, yeah, this shouldn't be like this. I was like, you know what? You can discuss this point now and, you know, ramble about it, or you just live with it right now. Yes, it is a long-term discussion to fix that thing, right? But for now, if I get what I want, I don't care. So I think you sometimes have to also understand how processes are built and how people work, right? And ask the questions. Why is that like this? Often you will hear, and I think you hear this also a lot, because it's always been like that.
My favorite answer.
You know that pretty much, right? And so I mean, you have to challenge these things, like, why is it that way? Like, not like, how did it evolve over time, right? And then sometimes things make sense, but they're just outdated right now. There's a better way of doing it in the meantime, right? But you have to ask these questions, and I think this is why it is really important of challenging such things, not taking everything at face value, and but still also show empathy for the people. Like, I think it's not a solution to attack the people who are like, you are doing it wrong, you shouldn't be asking for 2 emails. Like, it doesn't help. The guy found a system for himself that worked for him. If I can live with that, what's the problem? I just write, usually I just wrote 1 email, then I was waiting for 5 minutes, got a coffee, and I went back, okay, Roberto, email number 2, I really mean it. Skip number 1, go to number 2, and let me know if it works or not. And I usually got my answers pretty quick, you know, and like, is it really hurting me so much to send the second email? I don't think so, you know? So I think showing also a little bit of empathy for the people on the other side and not like crucifying all of them definitely makes collaboration very, very nice. I think people in general should be, I would wish for the whole world, not just for business people, to be a little bit more tolerant in many things and be open to try different ways. I think we are very much fixed in like, this is how I've always done it, this is how I know it, this is the best way to do it, like, and always thinking that I'm the one who can do it best. And I think this is a dangerous thought, because why do you think that other people are not able to maybe finding a better way? And at least having the thought of the opportunity that somebody could make it better. I mean, you may end up with your process. Okay, that's a chance, right? But what if somebody could make it better? And I think if we just embrace that mindset of what if it works? Not always saying like, yeah, but if it goes wrong, what if it works? Let's just for a moment think about the opportunity. What if it goes well? What if it improves something? How much better would my life be? And not always looking at the downsides of things, because I think downsides are available. Yeah, they are there, but usually the upside is bigger, most cases, you know? And I think, especially when we look at technology right now, I mean, I just had conversations last week again, where people think, you know, I'm not big enough to use AI. And I was like, excuse me? This is the best reason why you should use AI, because you are right now making yourself work that you wouldn't even have to do if you just use the tools. So why do you want to suffer and do more work yourself because you feel like you earned it, but you're actually not doing valuable work for your client, you know, you're just being busy. So why don't you just take the busy work out right from the beginning so that you can even scale quicker, instead of saying, once I have a certain size, then I start doing this. I think this is the wrong mindset. Then you haven't understood the opportunities of AI and technology in general. And I think this is a mindset problem that many people face with, you know, like, if I use technology, then I will be distracted, blah, blah, blah. Yes, you will have to invest a little bit of time, which actually you can shorten a lot if you take people like Marina or myself, right, to help you with that process, because we can set it up for you, give you a little introduction, and off you go, you know. And think about all these hours you would have to do that stuff yourself. how much is your time worth? How much is your life energy worth? If you're not willing to invest that, just outsource it to somebody else. Like, I mean, I'm not willing to invest my time in stuff. I mean, I'm also frustrated sometimes on things, right? But it's things I choose to be frustrated over. So if I don't figure out a system, yes, it frustrates me, but I want to find the solution, right? So this is inherent a challenge for me that I want to solve. But if something is freaking me out, like on a regular basis, which I don't like doing, why do I want to do that to myself or to my business? Because you're limiting the growth of your business. I mean, we are here at Grow to Scale, right? So yes, if you grow, you will have to reorganize, you will have to definitely look into technologies, but also when you start your growth journey, don't think you are too small to try new things. That's the time where you have the time to do things if you just allow technology to help you.
That's great train of thought. And I just remembered while you were saying this, that we were joking in one of our previous conversations where you said, sometimes I hire lazy people, smart lazy people, because they will find a way to automate something or to make something work efficiently just because they don't want to do the work.
Correct.
So I invite the business owners. You are such hard workers. You put all your energy, all your mind, all your money into a business. Sometimes take a step back and think like a lazy employee, like a lazy person. How can I make this more efficient so I don't have to work this hard? So, Mona, how can people reach you? If you're in Europe or in US, it doesn't matter where you are.
Yeah, I mean, you can reach me worldwide. So if you just type in my name on Google, you will pretty much find me everywhere. So if you go to Facebook, to Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, obviously, just type my name. I think my name is pretty unique. You will only find me with that name. So that's the easiest way, right? And if you go to my social media, you also have contact information, how you can reach me. My email address and everything is everywhere. So don't worry, you will have a very easy time finding me.
And I will put all the contact information in the comments below as well. So you can reach Mona if you want to have somebody to manage your projects. Thank you so much. You're amazing. And we'll do this again on other topics.
Awesome. Looking forward to. Thank you so much for having me.